The rain was relentless that night.
It came down in heavy, punishing sheets, washing away footprints, muffling screams, and turning the cracked road outside of town into a river of shadows and headlights.
Somewhere in that darkness, a young woman was running for her life. Her shoes slapped against the pavement, soaked through, her breath coming out in ragged, terrified bursts. Every time she looked over her shoulder, she could see the faint beam of a car's headlights following her, steady, slow, like a predator toying with its prey. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She didn't know where she was going anymore. She just knew she had to keep running, because stopping meant being caught, and being caught meant the end. If you believe in kindness, courage, and second chances, then take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. Stories like this remind us that even in the darkest nights, there are people who still choose to be someone's light. Her name was Emily. 24 years old, soft-spoken, the kind of girl who always smiled politely to everyone in her apartment building but never let anyone close. She had come to the city a year ago chasing a dream of independence, new job, new life, a clean start. But that dream turned into a nightmare when she met Ryan, a charming man at first, who slowly revealed a darker, controlling side. The texts, the calls, the sudden appearances outside her work, it all escalated. When she tried to end things, he refused to accept it. He began following her everywhere, leaving notes under her door, whispering threats in voicemails she couldn't bring herself to delete. For weeks, she lived in constant fear, her heart jumping at every noise, her eyes scanning every crowd. Tonight, that fear exploded into reality when she saw him waiting outside her apartment again, his eyes full of something she couldn't even describe, something dangerous. She didn't think. She just ran. The city lights faded as she reached the edge of town, the sound of thunder masking her sobs. Her phone battery had died miles ago. Her clothes were torn, her knees scraped from when she stumbled earlier, and her lungs burned with exhaustion. The road curved sharply through a stretch of forest before she spotted a faint glow ahead, a neon sign flickering through the rain, Iron Wolves Bar and Grill. The name alone made her hesitate. It looked like the kind of place where rough men gathered, leather jackets and loud engines, a world far from hers. But she had no other choice. She stumbled toward it, her legs trembling, before collapsing just a few feet from the door. Inside the bar, the sound of laughter and classic rock filled the air. Dozens of bikers sat around tables, their voices rough but cheerful. The door swung open suddenly, letting in a blast of cold air, and the room fell silent. A small figure lay motionless on the ground just outside, rain pouring over her like a curtain. For a long second, no one moved. Then a tall man with a long beard and a heavy leather jacket marked Iron Wolves MC pushed through the doorway. His name was Jack, president of the club, a man who'd seen war, loss, and redemption. When he knelt beside her, the look in his eyes changed from suspicion to concern. "She's freezing," he muttered, lifting her gently into his arms and carrying her inside. The warmth of the bar enveloped Emily's shaking body. The bikers gathered around, exchanging uneasy glances. They were used to handling fights, rival clubs, even police visits, but a half-dead girl collapsing at their door was new. One of the women, Mara, who helped run the kitchen, grabbed blankets and a towel. Another guy brought her water. Jack checked her pulse, his calloused hand surprisingly gentle. When Emily's eyes fluttered open, she looked terrified, shrinking back as if expecting more danger. "You're safe here," Jack said softly, though his voice still carried the gravel of a man used to being obeyed. "No one's gonna hurt you." But safety was something Emily no longer believed in. Her eyes darted to the window, where she thought she saw headlights approaching again. She began trembling uncontrollably, whispering his name, Ryan. Jack caught the word, his expression darkening. Without a word, he motioned to a few men, who stepped outside into the rain. Within moments, the sound of motorcycles revving up filled the night. The Iron Wolves were not men who ignored danger, especially when it came to someone helpless. Ryan's car rolled slowly past the parking lot, his eyes scanning for her. But he didn't expect to find half a dozen bikers standing in the rain, arms crossed, their engines rumbling like thunder. Jack stood at the front, unflinching, his leather jacket glistening under the streetlight. "You lost, boy?" he asked coolly. Ryan mumbled something about looking for someone, but the moment Jack stepped closer, his confidence faltered. The bikers didn't touch him. They didn't have to. One look was enough. When Ryan sped off, tires screeching, Jack waited until the taillights vanished before walking back inside. Emily cried when she realized she was finally safe. She couldn't stop shaking. Mara held her, whispering softly, while Jack sat across the table, studying her face. Over the next hour, she told them everything: how she'd moved here alone, how Ryan had changed, how no one believed her when she reported him because there wasn't enough evidence. The more she spoke, the heavier the silence became. By the end, her voice was barely a whisper. Jack leaned back, rubbing his temples. He had daughters once, grown now, living their own lives. He thought about what he would have wanted someone to do if they were in her place. That thought made his next decision easy. For the next few days, the Iron Wolves took Emily in. She slept in a spare room above the bar, ate with them, and slowly began to feel human again. They guarded the place like hawks, keeping watch day and night. Jack made a few calls, using contacts from his past to make sure Ryan wouldn't get close again. But what changed Emily the most wasn't just their protection, it was their unexpected kindness. These men, who looked so rough and intimidating, treated her with a kind of respect she hadn't felt in years. They didn't pity her, they believed her. They saw her fear, her strength, and her pain, and they stood beside her through it all. Days turned into weeks. Emily started helping Mara in the kitchen, cleaning tables, even laughing sometimes when one of the bikers made a joke. The bar became a sanctuary, a place filled with stories of broken people who found their way back to life. And slowly, she began to heal. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Jack found her sitting outside, watching the sky turn orange and pink. She thanked him, tears in her eyes, saying she didn't know what she would have done if they hadn't found her that night. Jack just smiled, lighting a cigarette and shaking his head. "You found us," he said quietly. "Sometimes, life brings people to the right place at the worst time." Months later, Emily had rebuilt her life. With the help of the bikers, she found a new job in a nearby town, got her confidence back, and even started therapy. The Iron Wolves became her family. She would visit often, always welcomed with open arms and laughter. As for Ryan, he disappeared after the night he met Jack's stare, a ghost swallowed by his own cowardice. Emily's story spread quietly through the town, becoming something of a legend. People whispered about the night a terrified girl stumbled into a biker bar and found unexpected angels in leather jackets. Years later, Emily stood outside that same bar again, this time with a calm smile instead of fear. She placed a small plaque by the entrance that read, "To those who protect without question, and to those who find hope when they least expect it." If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to channel name. It helps us bring more powerful, real-life inspired stories to you, and reminds the world that compassion still exists in unexpected places. Sparkle's special request: comment below what kindness means to you, and if you've ever met a stranger who changed your life forever. Your story might inspire someone who needs it tonight.